I want to welcome our artist presenters here today, and our first artist presenter is Dillon from Master of Plaster. Welcome, Lauren.
Okay, hi everyone. Thank you for coming today. A big thank you to One Columbia and 1 Million Cups for inviting me and asking me to share my story. So, my story is a long one. It's very complicated, it's complex, I would say meandering at best. I'm sure many of you here, that's probably pretty similar to your stories as well. But it's not just my story that I want to share today, it's also the story of this firm, Master of Plaster. Its story began before it relates back to the 1600s. We can kind of trace its root. It's been in existence in some way, shape, or form since the 1600s. So it's been around a lot longer than I have been here with the firm, and I hope that with my work with it, it will continue on for future generations as well. So, and it's really about, the story that I'm going to try to share today is really about my story intermingling and intermixing with Master of Plaster's story, because that's really where the artistry and the entrepreneurism is happening. All of my presentations, I begin with an explanation on what plaster is, and it's not because the audience doesn't necessarily understand it as a material or as an art form, but because there's so many misrepresentations of plaster out in the design realm, in the preservation realm, but also as well just kind of in the general public. So I'm going to skip that today because we don't have time, and I'm going to just do kind of a quick, maybe 6-7 slide visual immersion in what plaster really is. So to start us off, I'm obviously going to start with this beautiful millennial pink plaster, and yes, that is a color now. Millennials, we can thank you all for bringing the 80s pink back into style and fashion. So this is a restaurant down in Charleston. How do I click to the next?
I always use the up-down arrows on the keyboard. So.
Oh. So here you can start to see the visual variation. Plaster is such a different medium than paint, and it really shows. It's hard to capture in images, but once you're in a space, you can really feel that essence. And here's a detailed shot of that. There's layers, it's complex, it's not just a static finish, it's really kind of organic and alive. These really beautiful colors, you see that darker color showing through, transferring through. I created this color and I'm very proud of it. It's an absolutely stunning blush tone. This is plaster as well. And this is probably what everyone probably thinks of plaster. You see that streamlined, flawless, seamless plaster ceiling, pure white plaster ceiling. And then juxtaposed atop that is the very rich, very deep, very intricate and detailed ceiling medallion, plaster ceiling medallion. This as well as plaster. This is Gibbs Art Museum after restoration down in Charleston. Unitarian Church, you see the lines and the details and the craftsmanship. You can really see that essence and the artistry in these different installations. Kensington Mansion, Historic Columbia does tours periodically. If you have not been, you need to go just for that ceiling medallion. That is a barrel vaulted ceiling medallion. I don't know if you guys grasp how difficult and how much craftsmanship is displayed in that interior. So to get more into my work, executive designer, what does that really mean? So we, in Master of Plaster, what do? We handcraft age-old lime putty plasters. It really is what it boils down to. My work as executive designer, I work directly with architects, designers, the individual clients, the homeowners, art gallery owners, restaurant owners, and a lot of my day is spent creating colors. And that might sound very simple and very straightforward, but it's very complex and probably one of the most stressful aspects of my job. So what you see here is a Venetian plaster installation on a project on Kiowa. There is 4 layers of plaster there. The artistry is amazing, but what you're seeing is deeper hues of base coats, and then you've got the finished coats on top, and they're all texturized. And it took about 7 or 8 different iterations until we were really able to achieve that perfect color. Then on top of that, to simplify the whole process, the clients wanted a custom colored natural beeswax sealant. So this is a 22,000 square foot home. We were boiling down gallons of natural raw beeswax, adding different earth pigments, raw umbers, burnt siennas, iron oxides to create that perfect color and that perfect final finish aesthetic. This here is an image. This is a project out of Portland, Oregon. And so here again, working with the client, the homeowner, she's a cookbook author. She really wanted to bring nature into her home. So what better way to do that than with an earthen material and having an earthen material on your walls. So here we created colors for her, kind of the tonal aspect of what her finished aesthetic wanted. And you can see this is much more rugged, much more raw. And that's her design aesthetic. So working with her extensively to make sure she was able to achieve that final finish that she wanted for her interiors. Moving upstairs to her bedroom is much more refined. It's a much softer color palette. It's a much more calming and soothing space. So we don't just sell and ship. This is also an installation that I actually flew up to Hudson, New York to do. It's a designer out of New York City. This was his upstate New York retreat. And I actually created from start to finish the entire color palette for this space. We had worked together on a project before, and he really trusted my vision and my work with colors. So he came to me and said, Lauren, you know, I want these tonal grays. I want to do a two-tone installation, and I want it highly textured. I really want to showcase that it's natural plaster in my interiors. So this is an installation that we went up and did and completed. It's been showcased in Architectural Digest. Anthropology just did their fall photo shoot there, and some director apparently filmed part of a movie there. So hopefully we get to see it on the big screen. But that's also evolved into commission pieces. I work with a lot of food photographers and stylists. So I do backdrop photography boards. The one on the left is a board for a photographer and stylist out of Vermont. The one on the right is a food stylist out of Nashville that works with a lot of the local restaurants in Nashville. Again, more boards, so you're seeing that texture, you're seeing that character of the plaster really come to life in these installations. You're seeing kind of the final finish coats on the right. You're seeing more of that texture on the left. The left is a board for a photographer out of Australia. The one on the right is a floral designer out of Richmond, Virginia. So now that's evolving into more of my personal work, which I'm sure some of you are more familiar with. There's an installation in Hotel Trundle. Is it time? Okay. All right, so to wrap up, I'll just kind of close with this. A lot of my work is varied. It ranges on a broad spectrum of art. But at the core of all of it really lies, I'd say, my passion for plaster and my desire to showcase this material as a supreme art form.